Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to show you 3 tips for painting fall leaves. The first tip is to have all of your colors mixed up first. Many fall leaves are multicolored, which is why we're so inspired to paint them. And in order to get that multicolor effect, we often use wet into wet washes first. And it's really hard to do a successful wet into wet wash when you have to stop all the time and mix new colors. So you want to make sure you mix all your colors so that they're ready to drop into your beautiful wet glaze. This brings me to the second tip, which is practice your wet on a scrap piece of paper first. If you're new to watercolor painting, this can be a really challenging skill to master. So I would challenge you to just draw a few leaf shapes on a scrap piece of paper, ideally the same type of paper you'll be painting your actual painting on, because then the water and paint will behave exactly the same way. And then practice getting a nice, smooth, wet into wet wash. So as I'm painting here, getting a very smooth, even glaze. You see I made a little puddle, but then I'm smoothing it out with my brush and pressing my brush hard into the paper to kind of press the water into the paper and get it nice and even. So it's all just sort of glistening and not puddled. And that's when I know that it's ready to go. And this will become sort of natural and second instinct once you've painted enough. Now I have all those colors already mixed up. They're the correct paint consistency, which is watery or milky depending on which effect you want. And I go a lot more into paint consistency in my full-length classes. And then I am dropping in the colors one at a time. So I got all my green in. Now I'm going to add sparingly my reds. Green and red leaves can be fairly tricky to paint because they're complementary colors, which mean if they mix too much, you'll get a muddy color. So a great tip for starting out is try leaves with analogous colors, which are colors next to each other on the color wheel, like red, yellow, and orange. My third tip is to approach things in a systematic way so that you know what to expect and what techniques you are going to use. This will take the overwhelm and unknown out of the painting process and make it much more relaxing, and also enable you to plan your colors a little more and also focus on creating the painting with lighting and directional shading and all of those things, because you have to think about that as well as what techniques of watercolor you're going to use. So I like to use my 3-step painting method, which always involves the same thing, which is just creating a base layer with wet into wet or wet on dry, depending on what I'm painting. And then the second step, which I am doing here, which is creating contour lines and veins. And I use my 00 brush for this. And I use the 00 brush that I keep especially for fine lining. I have a separate 00 brush I use for blending. So this tip is nice and crisp. And then I know once I've done this that I'm ready to move on to step 3. And step 3 is where I build up all the shape and form of my painting using the same technique that I always use for step 3, which is just wet on dry, mini little graded washes. And this is where more of the blending takes place. If you would like to learn more about my 3-step painting method and how I create all of my paintings using this same simple, systematic approach, then I'm inviting you to join me for my live workshop coming up this coming Saturday, October 26th. You can click the link in the video description below for more information, and we will be learning all about my 3-step painting method, a little bit about botany and plant morphology and how that helps you as a botanical artist, and I'll be demonstrating how I paint one of these red dogwood leaves in real time. Signing up for this workshop will be such a great thing to do if you want to get more confident at botanical painting in general, and you really want to paint some beautiful fall leaves before they fade away into late fall winter season. Everyone that joins me for the workshop will also get a free bonus download, which has some amazing tips for continuing your botanical painting journey. Before the workshop, you're also going to get an email from me with the materials and colors that I'll be using. They're not necessary to have all of the same things that I'm using, but I know some people like to know in advance before the workshop starts. The workshop is hosted on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can join us, and the start time will be 10 a.m. Pacific time. Pre-registration is required, so if you would like to join us, then click the link in the video's description below to get more information and sign up.